All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show. It is Thursday night. Dieter Kurtenbach is in the house. Let's go right now. All right, we get it rolling on the Krug Show Thursday night. We're, of course, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue along the Monterey Peninsula in Pacific Grove, California. Call my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. And this live stream is sponsored by Betr, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Betr to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $200. And we need to announce right now that the winner of the Fred Warner jersey giveaway, the autographed Fred Warner jersey, goes to Carlos Olivas. Kevin has reached out to you, so check your email, Carlos, and congratulations. And if you want
Carlos,
that, where you go, way to go, Carlos. Carlos Olivas is the winner of the autographed Fred Warner jersey. And if you want to give someone you love some Krug Show merch this holiday season, the link is always in the description below. Kev wants us to also note that the brand new item on there are the Krug Show beanies, and they're now on hold because of issues with the manufacturer. So the beanies are cool. They're definitely cool, and there's a lot of people who want them. So we have we're holding off on the beanies right now because of an issue with the manufacturer. If you are watching this on YouTube but prefer to listen, you can find us on any podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. And if you're listening to this right now on a podcast app, make sure you give us a 5-star rating and a review and check us out on YouTube. And lastly, if you're looking to buy some 49ers merch, we do have products tagged below that you may be interested in. Buying those items helps support the show, and there's no extra cost for you. So check those out on our page. Kev, where are we finding
Captain of Industry here?
If you're looking to buy some 49er merchandise, we have products tagged below. Okay, on YouTube, I guess. Yeah. So there you go. And it does help the show. It does support the show as best you can. Thanks for
that affiliate link game, baby.
Exactly. All right. Let's get right to Dieter's story on Brock Purdy, which they picked up and ran with today on FS1. Chris Broussard. Who are the other guys here? I don't know the guy in the middle.
Nick Wright, Kevin Weeks, I believe.
Kevin Weeks. Okay, I don't know Kevin Weeks.
Weeks. Kevin Weeks. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So there you go. But anyway, Dieter was on, and here we go.
With the future of the 49ers and Brock Purdy, Dieter Kurtenbach writing in the Mercury News that the rest of the season is a referendum on your guy Purdy, bro. The money is ready, but the contract hasn't been drawn up just yet. And it's more than fair to say that Purdy's arrow, perhaps for the first time in his short NFL career, is pointing down. It's on him in the final 5 games to flip it, make paying him a no-brainer decision for everybody. Now, there has been a significant statistical slide. He was number 1 in pretty much everything, and now he's kind of all over the map, several of these on the bottom half. So, Brew, would it be unfair to judge Purdy off this season?
Well, first of all, since we're quoting Dieter Kurtenbach, who I know Nick wants to get to somehow.
Brew loves him.
Like he's a sage.
Brew loves him.
Well, when he's right, I quote. I'm not going to rip you. Okay. No, the article also said the money's there.
Yeah.
That the front office has committed.
Oh, they planned for it.
Yeah, that they, and same as Albert Breer saying the same thing, they have the money set aside, I guess $60 million a year, somewhere around there. It also said this. I just want to set the record straight. This is what Dieter wrote. The 24-year-old quarterback might be having a down year, but he's still a hell of a player. His scrambling ability is a critical reason why the Niners have not yet been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. The All-22 is far more forgiving than the zoomed-in broadcast.
Trust me that. Me and Josh.
Yeah, and I watched the All-22.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not like just, reading the box scores like some people.
I hear you.
No, but my point is that I wanted to paint the article.
Yeah, no, the article
it's
was not
like
a
he's
cutting
ripping.
article.
Right,
the article was not a cutting
So I just wanted to, because the title can show
Yes.
that. To answer your question, it's absolutely fair. Anytime you put tape on, game film, or put something on tape, it's fair to judge. What I would say, though, is judge fairly. Judge fairly. Don't be biased, judge fairly. And when you judge fairly, you have to say, well, his defense has gone from third best in the league as far as scoring to 24th. Nick Sorensen, the DC, is under fire because they haven't done well.
Thing, is weird because they have the 5th yardage defense and
but they're
11th
giving
in
up
forcing turnovers, but 24th scoring. So, those numbers, usually are not that far misaligned.
But you can watch. I mean,
they're not the same defense they were last year.
Take that into account. The injuries offensively as well. I mean, defensively, they missed a lot of guys, but offensively as well. His 2 top weapons from last year were McCaffrey and Ayuk. They're gone.
Yeah.
Debo
hasn't been the same.
No, Debo's a one-time Pro Bowler. And I thought he was the best football player in the league a few years ago. He's only made 1 Pro Bowl in his whole career, and that was before Purdy was on the team. All right, so I'm just saying, you really have Kittle, who's, I think, still at a high level.
Good.
Some people think he's down, but that's your only guy. So I just consider that, because we've even seen the greatest that I've seen, Mahomes, not put up the numbers that we're used to seeing from him when he only has Kelsey, who's still great.
Well, he won an MVP
great player
like that in 2022.
But he had
just Kelsey.
Okay, and he's Mahomes too.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years,
correct,
we've seen him play pedestrian. So take that into account, and all these injuries. This graphic right here shows they've lost the second most games by starters to injury in the league. And all the other teams on there, essentially, except the Texans, are struggling.
Yeah.
Now, the Colts might make the playoffs, but still, they're right. And so the injuries are huge. And yet, Brock Purdy still, and I said it yesterday, but it's worth repeating, passer rating-wise, he's better passer rating than all those guys. Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Cousins, Geno Smith, C.J. Stroud. I threw Caleb on there, Nick, because you said he was a top 6 quarterback when he was still in college.
Yeah.
Dak, Trevor, because he's your guy. So I'm just saying, we can judge him, and we can say Purdy has not been what he was the last 2 years or year and a half, but judge it fairly. When you take everything in context, I think you have to say, he's still what I've always felt, in last year that he's been a tier 2 quarterback.
All right, so there you go. A little bit of a train wreck, man, but there's a lot going on.
It started with one of my columns. What did you expect?
Yeah. Okay. Well, one, do you think they did it? Did they do your column disservice? Did they represent it correctly? Why don't you pick it up from there?
Yes, they actually did. I thought that they did a very nice job of explaining what I explained. And having worked at Fox and for 18 months of my life having to deal with my columns being a block of television that were 9 times out of 10 completely misconstrued because some editor who's working the C block handled just the headline and then read the nut graph of the art, didn't even get past the photo. It's actually somewhat refreshing that they read the article. Thank you for being a subscriber to the Mercury News. I'm deeply appreciative. That is, in a nutshell, what I said. And the crux of the column was pretty simple. The Niners are going to pay Brock Purdy whether you like it or not. But wouldn't it be great if Brock played so well in these final 5 games that you liked it too? Not just you, Larry. I'm talking about the collective us, the collective you. I've just been hearing a lot of people, and this is the natural knee jerk, and it's totally understandable. Head coach quarterback league. We're tired of talking about firing Kyle. Let's fire the quarterback. And neither of those guys are about to lose their job. And that frustrates people because 5-7 is unacceptable for this team. So I was just making the point of we got 5 games. They mean effectively nothing. But, man, Brock Purdy could really build up some goodwill. Jimmy Garoppolo got an NFL record-setting contract off of 5 games at the end of a year. Brock Purdy can get an NFL record-setting contract off of far more than 5 games, but those 5 games could really help him when it just comes to the public relations of it all. He's going to get paid one way or another, but wouldn't it be nice if we could have a celebration about it as opposed to ramping up the current rhetoric to another level once that contract comes through?
Well, Jimmy, won 5 games on a team that was started 0-9. Brock actually has been, won playoff games, come from behind to do so, played well in the Super Bowl, played well in the playoffs. To me, that's far more important than, did you win against Jacksonville when everybody and their brother knew the season was done and everybody was giving you their F game. So I think already, Brock Purdy's accomplished so much more at this point than Jimmy Garoppolo has. But if you look at yards per game, everybody's got a different barometer to measure a quarterback. If you go by yards per game, he's 13th, Burrow's first. If you go by touchdown passes, Burrow's first, Purdy is 22nd. If you go by interceptions, fewest interceptions thrown, who's the best? Herbert's got 1, so he's having a great year there. Purdy's mid-pack on that. QBR, Kyler Murray's number 1, and Purdy's 7th. QB rating, Lamar Jackson's number 1, Purdy's 14th. And completion percentage, Tua Tagovailoa's number 1, Purdy is 18th, completing 65.7%. So looking at those numbers, you would say, he's middle of the pack kind of a quarterback.
Unquestionably.
But, the thing about it too, and, this is one of those things that, Brian Billick said it a long time ago. The hardest thing to evaluate in football and accurately evaluate and correctly evaluate is what's going on with the quarterback versus what's going on around the quarterback. So it's like the quarterback is the head of the snake. And, it's like any number of things can make the quarterback look bad, which is why there's a lot of guys who go, they get drafted by bad teams. They play behind bad lines. They get sacked. They get hurried, whatever. Then they fail. They go somewhere else and they reclaim themselves. And we've seen it twice in the last 2 years. And Sam Darnold this year, he was terrible with the Jets and Panthers. He's good in Minnesota. Baker Mayfield was not good at his last stop, but he's good in Tampa right now behind a pretty good offensive line, a better game, better coaching staff, better weapons, better receivers. So, so much of like the quarterback gets evaluated, but it's a lot about what you have around the quarterback. Personally, if you said, what do I think of Brock Purdy this year? He's not playing the same, but I think there's reasons for everything. And to me, I'm seeing a guy, the people that want to argue that he's behind a good line will say, well, he's like 5th in the league as far as quarterbacks holding the ball. But that's not, if you watch the games, he's not holding the ball in the pocket. He doesn't have all that time in the pocket. He just has more time because he's buying time with his legs and he's running around. But to me, that's, people use that as, look, he's got great protection. But no, he doesn't have great protection. So what I'm seeing is I see a lot of pressure mounting on Brock Purdy. He had Christian McCaffrey. He doesn't now. Deebo Samuel used to be good. He's now not good. Brandon Ayuk used to be good. Is now out for the year. McCaffrey used to be good. He's out for the year. They don't show any real interest in using Kittle with any consistency. That's probably not a Brock Purdy call. Ricky Pearsall is a bust until proven otherwise. So what do you got? What does he really have? You notice when people talk about the Niners, will be like, all these is like the name of their weapons. Like they have all these weapons. Really? Because the Lions' weapons are better.
Talented team. It's such
Green
a talented
Bay's
team.
weapons are
Show
better.
me where this talent is. Show me on the film where all this talent is shining.
Right. Deebo has build-up speed, no more quickness. Ayuk was out of shape and now done for the year. They don't have – Pearsall is just – I don't know what – he gets nothing done. I realize he was shot. It's a great story that he's, the perseverance and all that. But, forget all that for a second. Let's just pretend he wasn't shot. He stinks. He absolutely stinks.
I fundamentally disagree with that.
Well, he's stunk so far. I mean, he
hasn't produced so far.
Here's what you can't fundamentally disagree with. 63 routes run, no catches, 3 games,
that's
last 3 games.
No. That's it.
No that's it. I mean, so as far as I'm concerned, I don't give out there's no free lunch. There's no free rides. It's like you're not a star until proven otherwise. You're a nobody until proven otherwise. And until he proves he's somebody, he's a nobody. So he's a nobody. Okay. Debo's become a nobody. Kittle is not used. Ayuk and CMC are gone. So all you have is 4-7 running, 4-7-40 Jawan Jennings and Kittle, who blocks most of the time. And it's like, so Brock doesn't have good weapons, and they're not getting open. He's not operating behind a good line. And his number one running back, the reigning offensive player of the year, hasn't been here all year. Mix in the fact that his special teams is terrible, and the defense is maybe the worst situational defense I think I've ever seen. I mean, they're not bad defensively. They're just bad in every phase. They're bad on the goal line. They're bad on third down. They're bad in red zone. I mean, all these little specialty things, they're just awful. They're just truly horrendous. I mean, the Niners stats, where they rank defensively in points and yards, I mean, it's like, as they just pointed out there, they're 24th in points allowed, but they're like top 5 in yards. So anyway, that's my long-winded way of saying I don't think Brock's playing great, but no one I kind of see a guy who's running around and trying to create more. And to me, I think he's showing growth while at the same time, obvious regression. I mean, he's regressing because the weapons he's throwing to aren't good and they're not separating, and he's under duress. He's leaving the pocket too early at times. He's anticipating pressure coming that's not coming. So he's like, everything's his whole clock, which was perfect a year ago, is just a little bit askew now. So sometimes he feels pressure when there isn't any. Sometimes he bails from the pocket when he shouldn't. Sometimes he doesn't feel the pressure when he should. He's just his timing and his anticipation is just his dials are just a little bit off.
They didn't practice at all. This team's never practiced together. You go to training camp and it was who's not here today, right? At what point did it ever feel like they were building some cohesion at training camp? Never. Because, we're going to ramp up McCaffrey, and then, McCaffrey's injured, so we can't use him. And so now we're not really going to do any of our backfield passing game anymore. And, Ayuk's not here and Trent's not here. So we're not going to put Brock in like an actual danger, even though he's wearing a no contact jersey. So, we can't get Pearsall involved. We want to run him at the X, but we can't do that yet because he's got the shoulder thing. And Cowing's injured too, so we can't get this young guy in here. Debo looks great though against Isaac Yiadom, who can't cover an in-breaking route to save his life, but he looked great all camp. And they got young secondary and a defensive line that can't get home because Bosa never practiced. And it's like, no duh, they don't have any timing or rhythm or understanding with each other. And I agree, Brock's clock is going fast. It's almost like he's Benjamin Buttoning it, where he clock gets going faster and faster. When he first came in the league, he had all the patience and time in the world. It was like he was seeing everything in slow motion, and it's coming a little fast this year. There's no question about it. But he also knows he has to create more. He can't just get rid of the ball and let somebody else do it. He has to make everything, which, hey, heavy is the head that lies the crown. You want to be an NFL quarterback? Sometimes it's going to be like this. A lot of the times it's going to be like this. Not everyone can inherit such a great situation as he did. But ultimately, you saw the difference between him and Brandon Allen in that Green Bay game. Okay? Say what you will about Brock as a thrower of the football. Let's call it even on that front. I don't think it is, but let's call it even on that front. The inability to scramble, extend plays, and get first downs with your feet proved so critical in that contest. Not that Brock would have changed the outcome of it, but it would have been maybe competitive for more than, I don't know, never. Like there might have been a bit of spark or spunk in that game for the 49ers had Brock, been on the field, running for first downs. And I just want to run through something real here fast. So my man Broussard, who called me a sage, he
which
goes,
is very, very timely because we just used sage a lot last weekend on our turkey.
And we're talking about time, and I don't know what we're going to do with rosemary, but passer rating this year. Brock Purdy, 95.3. Patrick Mahomes, 92.7. Brock Purdy, 7.3 air yards per attempt. Patrick Mahomes, 5.8. EPA, 79 for Mahomes, 74 for Purdy. Patrick Mahomes, 4.4 yards. I don't even know what I have the stat down as, but it's 4.4 touchdown percentage, 2.5 interception percentage. Brock Purdy, 4 touchdown percentage, 2.4 interception percentage. Success rates of 50% on passing plays. Brock has run the ball extremely well. Mahomes has run the ball extremely well. They're having an almost identical statistical season, but because Brock hasn't won a Super Bowl, much less 3 of them, we're going in on him because he hasn't proven it at the absolute highest level because his defense choked away in the Super Bowl. And Kyle Shanahan decided to let Patrick Mahomes have the ball second in overtime. Like the guy who was this close to beating Patrick Mahomes, not because he played better or whatever, but his team could have beaten him, very well could have beaten him, was favored in the game going in, had a lead in the game. That guy is now being discussed as a scrub, whereas Mahomes, who is unquestionably not a scrub, no one has insinuated such a thing. If you were to look at a blind resume on paper, you'd say, oh, this is pretty much the same thing. I know it's not that simplistic, but maybe, just maybe, a little bit of deference because we're providing it for Patrick Mahomes, someone who doesn't need the deference because, they don't have any weapons this year. Well, they have the best interior offensive line in football. They got 2 awesome tight ends. They got Xavier Worthy, who's speed. Not that he can play wide receiver, but he's speed. They just get DeAndre Hopkins, who's a pretty damn good player. Like they got Andy Reid. They got a great play caller. Apparently Kyle can't call plays anymore, but Andy Reid and Matt Nagy have this thing down, even though I look at their offense every week. A couple of really good running backs that fit their system. But again, Patrick Mahomes, he's just having a down year. It's fine. It's okay. No problem. $450 million contract. Whereas Brock Purdy, somebody who after 2 years took the 49ers to an NFC championship game, and then overtime of the Super Bowl, doesn't get any deference. This is the same thing now as it always has been. No one disagrees that Brock Purdy is an NFL quarterback, right? That was a conversation a year ago that people were having. Oh, could Sam Darnold do better? Oh, no, Brock Purdy sucks. Because people were holding on so tightly to this idea that Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft, so how could he be good? So now we've dropped that because it was a ridiculous notion to begin with. So we've dropped that, so what do we do now? We have to move the goalposts a little bit to the right. Oh, well, he's definitely a quarterback, but should he be highly paid? I don't know about that. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence, just go through. Derek Carr is getting paid very good money.
Everybody gets paid.
Everybody gets paid. Here's the only question you have to ask. Are you willing to let Brock Purdy walk out of your facility? Are you willing to let Brock Purdy? Of course not. Of course not. How many first-round picks would it take to trade
what do you want to do?
Purdy?
I mean, some people want to wait and pay him. My question
That's fine.
is this.
That's
my
so much easier said than done. I agree. Wait as long as you can. What's the harm? But
yeah, I mean, you can wait, but you're going to pay more. And I don't know that you do you want to have an acrimonious situation with your quarterback? I don't know if that's
it's worked out great this past offseason. They nailed it this past offseason by waiting.
Oh, I know. Yeah. No, I mean, it's awesome. It works amazingly.
They gave Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams everything they wanted and completely torpedoed a season. You should probably do that again. That's a good lesson for you, 49ers.
Well, it's funny. I don't think they torpedoed their season with that. I think they torpedoed their season with all the other things they did. They missed on all those number ones. They went after Hargrave. They made it so they depleted all of their depth. But let's just talk about Purdy for a second. Let's focus on Purdy. Sure. Who is Brock Purdy? And when I say that, I mean, is he the guy that he was putting up, amazing stats a year ago and leading the team to the Super Bowl? Or is he a guy that's been, roughly 500 in the last dozen starts or so and has seemed to struggle? Are his struggles about the league adapting to him, or is there struggles about the flaws on the current team? But I guess the big question is, and when you're trying to pay a guy, And they do have the money earmarked. They have the money under the cap. The question is, who is he? And what do you want to pay him? Who's the best comp? Because I don't know if I'm comfortable with just being like, oh, his contract's up. Who's the highest paid? Pay him the most. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know that I'm comfortable
Parag has
with
never
that.
operated like that. So here's what
That's the way the rest of the league is operating. Every quarterback that comes up, every quarterback. I mean, has there been one that's come up who's signed for under market value? It seems like they all get the most expensive amount. So I don't know. If you said, who is Brock? When you're like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, who does he compare to? Who would you compare Brock to?
He's Russell Wilson.
I think he's Russell Wilson too. But to me, the guy who he's even more like, and the guy who I think I would compare him to, because Russell is an older player at this point, and also Russell has already won a Super Bowl.
Right.
And Russell is a Hall of Famer for sure. And Brock's not a Hall of Famer, even though I think Brock's really good.
2.5 years.
What do you mean? In 2.5 years, he'll be a Hall of Famer?
I'm not saying he's Russell Wilson today. I'm saying that this career arc is almost identical to Russell. I'm being a sage. I'm looking into the future. But
I'm just saying Russell's a Hall of Famer.
Unbelievable team told not to screw it up. He didn't screw it up in the Super Bowl, though. I guess he didn't find Ayuk there, so whatever. They don't win the Super Bowl, but that was their best shot. Seattle capitalized on theirs significantly. And then they make the decision to stick with the quarterback over keeping the defense together, and all he does is win 10 games or 11 games every year in perpetuity, but no one ever feels good about it, and every game is chaos, and it's just this devil magic energy week in, week out, and we're already getting a hint of it. He's been Russell Wilson forever, and you can't let that walk out the door, and whatever that costs, it costs, because the Niners are going to protect themselves when it comes to handling the guaranteed money. They're not giving him a Deshaun Watson contract.
I don't know if I see Russell, because Russell's a Hall of Famer. And Brock, I don't think is a Hall of Famer. I think Brock's a really good quarterback. And I'm
so
a
who
big
do you like?
Brock fan, a big fan of Brock. But but I don't, and I do see Russell, and I've made that comparison myself. But as far as we're talking about now, an entity to pay, like we're trying to figure out how to pay Brock and what to pay Brock and what to offer Brock. To me, he's Jalen Hurts, and he should be paid like Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts signed a 5-year deal with Philadelphia for $255 million, $51 million AAV. Brock Purdy is Jalen Hurts. They're the same. They're the same age. They're the same size. They're the same background. Both have fathers who were instrumental in their upbringing. Both complete about the same percentage of their passes. The touchdown to interception ratio, very, very, very similar. The career record, both have they have identical win percentages. Identical.
That's funny.
I mean,
that's
literally
funny.
identical.
That's hilarious.
I think Brock is 22-10, and I think Hurts is 44-19. So I mean that they literally have identical win percentages. They have almost identical QBRs. Brock is a little bit better passer rating, 105.7 career to 92.9, but very comparable. Both of them had tons of college success. Both of them played in the Big 12. Both of them were recruited by Saban to play for Bama. Both are similar leaders, kind of quiet but strong leaders. I mean, they're real leaders in the room.
You want them at the dais.
Yeah, and they're both are very mature, maybe even more mature than their head coaches. I mean, I definitely think Hurts.
That's a great call.
I think Hurts is more mature than Sirianni.
Super John.
And I think Purdy is probably a little bit more grounded than Kyle, and a little bit more of an old soul. They're similar leaders. They don't go into the room and pop out their chest and hey, follow me and this and that. They're kind of unassuming, lead by example. Both were multi-sport athletes in high school. Neither was a 5-star high school recruit. Both played 4 years in college. Both had very similar completion percentage, touchdowns, everything. I mean, these guys are literally the same guy. Then you look at the combine stuff, the arm length, very similar. The hand size, very similar. The 40 time, Jalen, or I should say Jalen Hurts is 4.59. Purdy's 4.84. So Jalen's faster, but Purdy's quicker. 10-yard split, 155 to 160. All I'm saying is they're both Christians. They're both like guys who are really, they're going to kneel and, on the field and pray with the other team at the end of the game. I mean,
they both wear hoop earrings. I mean,
these guys are the same guy in a lot of ways. And where they most similar,
Brock can actually throw on the run.
Oh, I mean, they're different in some ways. Hurts has got stronger legs and can run the tush push. Brock's definitely has, I think, a better processor and more accurate. But Hurts is a stronger runner and a little bit more confident runner. But where I really think they're the absolute same guy is, let's cut right to the chase. Hurts cannot elevate the Eagles by himself, and Purdy cannot elevate the Niners by himself. They're not Josh Allen. They're not Mahomes. They're not Burrow. They're not, who's the other guy?
That might be it.
Yeah, that might be it. There's one more I was thinking of.
Lamar?
Yeah, Lamar. They're not Lamar. They're not. They're not the transcendent. I think what's the guy Broussard said was that if you have Brock Purdy in the top tier, well, okay, you overrated him. I never had him in the top tier. You never had him in the top tier. I said he was a second tier guy. I have Brock Purdy between 5 and 12. Okay. I will never move him into the top 5, and I'll never move him past 12. He's between 5 and 12. That's where he is. And to me, when you have a quarterback that's a top 10 quarterback who's 24, there's no way I'm kissing off this guy to take my chances. The same people, by the way, that last summer were complaining to the high heavens as loud as they possibly could that how could Kyle Shanahan put Sam Darnold over Trey Lance on a depth chart? Those same people are now saying, get rid of Brock Purdy and go sign Sam Darnold as a free agent this offseason. So,
they can go sign another shitty defensive tackle that gets injured after 5 games? Because that's all you can afford with the difference between the two of them.
And also it's like Sam Darnold. I mean, it's a beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Brock Purdy in a short amount of time has looked really, really good. He's not a superstar, but he's definitely the best starting quarterback they have. If I said to you, Dieter, give me your quarterback room for the Niners next year, who's in it, and in what order?
It's a 2-person room. It would be Brock Purdy 1, and then a early day 3 pick as his backup. So you need to make some sacrifices because Brock Purdy is going to be making so much. And frankly, I would front load the contract. I would take as much of the hit as soon as possible so that if you are in a jam and you go, oh shit, maybe Brock isn't capable of elevating. Maybe it can get worse. Well, then at least you ate it, and you don't, you're not hoping that the cap goes up 13, 14, 15% every year. You can, suffer through a little bit. And now you have a bunch of money on the back end when all of these contracts, which are clearly aged out already, finally come off the books. So I would front load it personally. I think that they have the fiscal wherewithal to front load it. And then also they're going to be very diligent about protecting themselves on the back end of it. Regardless, if you need to make some cuts somewhere, pretty good spot as backup quarterback. Now, I'm not going out here and saying that Brandon Allen's making too much money or anything. But if you go cheap day 3 at quarterback, like you're shaving $1 million or $2 million. You got something. Brandon Allen's at 1.5. You'll cut that in half easy. You're not going to keep a third quarterback, so then you're saving another. So that's $2-3 million, and that seems like pennies, but that does matter when it's all adding up. Maybe that's a depth linebacker for you in free agency. That's where I would go. And it kind of keeps Brock on his toes. Let's think about, this season. You had Darnold last year. Now, everyone sees Darnold's physical traits. He's a wonderful quarterback. He got drafted 3rd for a reason. Right? You watch him throw and you go, oh, I get it. You can fall in love with that. You watch him play a game, it's a little bit different. Now, he's obviously a solid enough quarterback to start in the NFL, and he will start somewhere next year. But Brock had that behind him, and he's coming off of the injury, and there was a fire under his ass. It was self-made. It was Kyle-made. There was some protection there. There was a little bit of, hey, if you slip it all, we're ready to go with the other guy. At what point this year has Brock Purdy ever had to feel pressure? Oh, we got these 2 other quarterbacks that we brought in. They're just going to dick around with each other and see who's number 2. You're our number 1. That's fine. No question Brock's the number 1. But having a little bit of pressure behind you, whether from the team or the fan base or both, doesn't hurt if you're the man. And I think he's the man. I think he carries himself as such. I don't think it'd be a problem to do that. That's not a passive-aggressive thing. That's just covering your bases.
Who do you want?
I mean, I know you're a big fan of the Georgia Tech kid.
I'll say this. I like Haynes King. Okay, I'm an A&M fan. He started at A&M. He was a high recruit. He's very athletic. He's playing really well for Georgia Tech right now. He's big. He's fast. We're talking about 4.4 speed and a great arm. But I'll say this: he's not the only guy I like. I kind of like Carson Beck, the quarterback from Georgia, who's probably going to be a late second round pick. I like Quinn Ewers from Texas quite a bit. He had 24 touchdowns, 7 picks. Not the biggest body ever, but he's got a good arm. He was a 5-star guy. This guy's been a big deal in the state of Texas going back to freaking 8th grade or something. I mean, this guy's been a celebrity since basically half his life. So I like Ewers. I like Beck. I love Cam Ward. And I really like Riley Leonard. I was talking to Nick McLeod, who's a Notre Dame guy, about Riley Leonard. And he's like, I don't know. He goes, I really like Riley Leonard. We were talking about it. He's like, but I don't know if he's got quite an NFL arm. But I'll say this. He's starting to show me more and more every game. And I kind of agree with him. I would take a chance on one of those guys. Riley Leonard, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Cam Ward, or Haynes King. Obviously Cam Ward is going to be gone in the top 10, but and so they won't have a chance at him. But I'm not a huge Jalen Milroe guy. I'm not a huge Penn State Drew Aller guy. I'm not a Shedeur Sanders guy. I'll tell you this: the other guy I really like. He's not coming out, but who's the Nebraska quarterback?
You like the freshman?
Yeah, the freshman Nebraska quarterback. I liked him.
Yeah, Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, Raiola.
He's a true freshman. Yeah. He's
swaggy. Is that Dominic Raiola's little brother? It's got to be because his brother played in Nebraska, named Raiola. Anyway, I love the way. I loved just the disposition, the confidence, the calmness. He's very calm for a freshman. Anyway, but I mean, and there are other guys that I like too. But
I mean,
I don't think Brock's a Hall of
Curtis
Famer.
Rourke from Indiana. He's pretty good. He's pretty accurate.
Damon loves him. But let me just say this. I don't know that Brock's going to be a Hall of Famer, so I do want to keep trying to find Hall of Famers. And the bottom line on this is that I would either go for reclamation projects or draft picks behind Brock Purdy, and I would be real aggressive. And I wouldn't do, put guys in the room that make him happy or make it easy. Let's challenge each other a little bit. Let's make it uncomfortable. A little professional discomfort sometimes is exactly what they need. This is a very comfortable room this year. Brock's the starter. The other guys aren't anywhere close to jumping him for the starting job. And Mordecai doesn't seem like he's in the running to jump them for the backup job. So there's not a lot of competition going on at the quarterback position. But that's what I would do. I would say I'm going with Brock because he's the best I got, but I'm going to keep drafting guys behind him, and I'm going to go with a young quarterback room behind him, and I'm going to see if I can develop my quarterback. And either I've got somebody there if Brock's not the guy, or I have somebody, Quinn Ewers plays well for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden somebody wants to give you a number 1 pick in the offseason. So I'm investing in the quarterback position behind Purdy as a way to build my roster by trading that guy. So that, or I'm going to hedge against Brock not being great and trying to look for that future Hall of Famer, and maybe I'll luck out and find a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm not taking him in the first round and probably not in the second round, but from the third round on, I'm interested in, a backup quarterback, a rookie on a rookie salary, who potentially could be a future starting quarterback that you could trade for assets. What do you think?
You mentioned the Jalen Hurts thing, and it should be noted that the fear that so many fans have, and it's founded, is that, if they pay Brock, they won't be able to build themselves a good team around him. Well, first off, they already have had the ability to build a good team around him, and you can see what's been done. So I guess it's just shot from the start. The second point is you compare him to Hurts. Philadelphia is paying their quarterback $50 million a year. They have no problem building a good team around him. It's pretty straightforward. They put $100 million into the offense. They got a bitchin' offensive line. They got 2 receivers that are getting $20+ million a year, in one case $30 million a year. They got a great tight end who's making good money. They just added Saquon Barkley. Why not? We can do that. And then they went and they drafted a bunch of players on defense. And it maybe took a year, not with Mitchell, the corner who's been outstanding, and DeJean, who, real quick, Cooper DeJean has red flags up and down his medical report. There's a reason that he went in the second round. It's not because of talent. It's because teams are wary of how long he'll be able to play. The 49ers already had a nickelback. He is an outstanding nickelback. I love Cooper DeJean. The Niners were never going to take him, not with the red flags and not with the Amador Lenore on the roster. Sorry, it just wasn't going to happen. That said, Jacoby Dean, Jalen Carter, they went and they're not spending money on that side, though they have some money allocated, no doubt. They're going out here and they're getting young, fast, energetic, powerful players to play on their defense, and they put some good money into Vic Fangio to get them together, and look at that defense now. I mean, as you were saying the other day in Santa Clara, they're your Super Bowl team out of the NFC, and it's hard to disagree with you. But last year, their defense was a mess because they had a bunch of old guys on it, and it was ramping down, and the young guys hadn't come up yet. This is the tried and true model now. Okay, you got to pay a quarterback. That's fine. That means that you can either not pay the guys around him on offense because he's that good, or you go young and fresh on defense and roll the dice there. There's no perfect option, but frankly, I'll pay the offensive players where at least my backups can be 4th, 5th, 6th round picks where you have a chance of getting some spark, right? That's just athleticism and stuff. And then the high paid guys, they're the ones coming through with massive production, especially on the line. That's a great place to spend money, in my opinion. But on the defensive side, that's about chaos. That's about having numbers. That's about rotating dudes in. That's about just being fast. You know where you get fast guys? It sure as shit ain't free agency, guys looking on their third contract like a Devondre Campbell. You get fast guys through the draft, and then you teach them how to play because you have a good coordinator. So if the Niners are going to spend some money on Brock Purdy here, and we all agree that they will, I got an idea. Take another chunk of money and spend it on a defensive coordinator that can coach some dudes up, that can get some guys to the next level. Say what you will about Steve Wilkes. I've said it all in a negative sense. He built up that secondary pretty well. He did a good job with them for a year. I heard Fred Warner yesterday say in no uncertain terms that Nick Sorensen does not know what he is doing when he was just going on like, we don't know the calls. We're out of control. We're not getting the same, places on the same plays. Man, it's almost as if they don't have someone coordinating a defense. And I don't know what Brandon Staley does on this team. I guess he has the Anthony Lynn, former Chargers head coach fellowship that we don't know what he does. But this defensive staff has failed a defense that has a couple of players, the older players, the highly paid players, look good in one direction, and the younger players coming up, but maybe not coming up fast enough. They're very reminiscent of the Eagles last year in their defense. And I think they probably have to do what the Eagles did last year, which is fire some people and bring in some new ones and pray that they're the right guys for the job again. But maybe go outside the building, swallow your pride a little bit, and bring in somebody who can actually coach up a defense and has a track record of doing it, as opposed to just doing whatever Kyle wants him to do and hope that it all works out because we have, quote, so much talent.
No more unproven dudes. I mean,
Right.
come on. You were the Super Bowl favorite this year. The thing is falling apart. You went with a totally unproven first-year coordinator with a team that you had Super Bowl aspirations. It makes no sense. We'll get more into Sorensen in a minute. But first, let's hit Betr because it's time to hit Betr. The Niners and Bears go Sunday. Let's take a look at our Betr lineup right now.
Marvelous. What we got?
We will see if we can go to our Betr lineup.
We've bored Kevin to death. There we go.
There he is. All right. Hey. All right. All right. So what do we want? Let's take a look at Brock Purdy's numbers.
I want to do the read too.
We will. Oh, look at you. Look at you. Look at that guy telling me what to do. We actually did the read.
This is how you make the money.
We actually did the read up front. But anyway, we'll do it again. This live stream is sponsored by Betr, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krueger Show. Use Betr to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $200. And congratulations to our winner of the Fred Warner jersey, Carlos Olivas. All right, let's take a look at Brock Purdy's numbers. What are Purdy's? He's got 1.5 passing touchdowns, 30.5 passing attempts, 18.5 rushing yards, which seems a little high. 34.5 longest pass. He has not been challenging down the field. 228 overall passing yards. I don't know on this one. I would say they can't run in the red zone to save their life. I'll say 2 passing touchdowns.
I think under on the 34.5 longest pass.
You like that? Yeah, under. Yeah, I like that under too. I like that under.
It's a thought.
Yeah, let's go with under on the 34.5 on the longest pass.
Kittle's got to be the fulcrum this week. They got crappy linebackers. Slow linebackers.
Let's take a look at Kittle. Let's see what Kittle's got. 53.5 receiving yards for a guy that doesn't even run patterns. 83.5 receiving yards. I would say I don't know. Kittle, I mean, he's not running enough patterns.
Yeah. If you don't want it, don't take it.
I don't know. That makes me nervous. I think they'll try to go to him, but I don't know. Why have they not gone to him so far? Jennings.
I've never had less of an opinion about a game than this one coming up. It's just the mediocrity bowl.
JJ 54.5 receiving yards. No, I don't like that. It's too high. How about Jake? Yeah, let's go with Jake. The Niners will crap out in the red zone at least twice. Give me 1.5 field goals made. We'll go more on Jake Moody.
I dig it.
You can take that to the bank right there. Mm-hmm. And how about DJ Moore? What is DJ Moore looking like? Because I think he's their number one target. All he needs is 60 receiving yards. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go more. Let's go more on DJ Moore and let's see what we win. What do we win? What's behind door number 1? All right. We go 3 for 3. We're going to make $50. All right. 5 to 1.
Hey,
well, 5 to 1 odds.
I like that.
10 to win 50. I like it.
Ain't bad.
3 picks. Purdy more than 34.5 longest pass. Moody's got to make a couple field goals. And Moore's got to have 60 receiving yards. If he does, our 10 turns into 50, and we are winner chicken dinner. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Betr, for sponsoring the Krueger Show. We appreciate you very, 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 very much. All right. Mike Silver, in his latest article in The Athletic, said or wrote, yet has this season been so jarring that Kyle Shanahan, who 2 years ago tried to lure Tom Brady to San Francisco, might at least ponder the possibility of going after Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, or Matthew Stafford, should any of those veterans become available this offseason. In any scenario, money, AG, wear and tear, will factor into some difficult roster decisions, and many of the organization's most celebrated players could be cut, traded, or allowed to leave via free agency. The 49ers' futures of Kittle, Debo, Juszczyk, Trent, Hargrave, Greenlaw, Mooney Ward, and Talanoa Hufanga are very much in question. That was Mike Silver. There's 2 points there, so let's hit them. Let's hit the first one first.
The first one's good for SEO. That's what I think.
What's that? What's SEO?
Search engine optimization.
Okay.
Those are 3 big names, and you type in 49ers, and hey, we've connected them. That's good.
Well, what do you think? I mean, is Kyle, if Kyle, the one thing we don't know is we don't know what the reaction to the season from the ownership is going to be. Now, the only thing I would say, if this were a really solid ownership group, and I'm not going to judge it one way or another, because I don't know what level of ownership this is. I don't know how solid this ownership group is, good or bad. But if this is a solid ownership group, then they're firmly behind Kyle and John, despite the fact that they're had a disappointing year. But if it's an ownership group that's nervous, then maybe there are contingencies or, things that Jed wants done. As I said, contingencies for them to return for their 9th campaign. What do you think? And do you think if Jed went to Kyle and said, "Hey, you know what? I know there's reasons. I know there's excuses. I know there's, injuries and this and that. And the 49ers are the 2nd most injured team in football this year. But none of it matters, and you better win in the next 2 years or you're out." Could he give them that kind of an ultimatum? And if he did give Kyle an ultimatum like that, what would Kyle, and there was pressure, would Kyle say, "Screw you, I'm out of here, release me from my contract, let me be a free agent, I want to go somewhere else, I don't want your contingencies"? Or do you think Kyle, when met with 2 years of pressure, might say, "You know what, I'm not taking any more chances with Mr. Irrelevant. Give me Stafford, give me Cousins, give me Rodgers, give me, Rodgers and Stafford have won Super Bowls. Cousins is a personal favorite of Kyle. What's the likelihood that Kyle gets off of Purdy for Rodgers, Cousins, or Stafford next year?"
0.0%. It's not happening.
Okay.
It's not happening. I mean, Kyle Shanahan might want to do that, right? They might, in theory, but then Kyle's going to have to actually, make an argument to his football operations department that, hey, we should go do this. And at some point, someone's going to watch Kirk Cousins' last 3 games. And they're going to be like, have you already seen Aaron Rodgers and gotten some ayahuasca in your system here? Because we're going to watch Aaron Rodgers, who has a super sick wide receiver, 2 really good running backs, an offensive line that isn't as bad as people say it is. It's not good, but it's not great. It's certainly not terrible. And, also they just got Devontae Adams halfway through the season. I kind of like Tyler Conklin. He's got all this going on, still looks like butt. Total ass. No one's going to get him. And then you go, Matt Stafford, who I think has scrambled once all season. And you're looking at this 49ers team where, listen, Stafford's a warrior. Every year he's got 14 injuries. He can still sling it at a super high rate. But it's over. It's over for him. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Matt Stafford hung him up after the year. I wouldn't be shocked at all if any of them hung it up at the end of this year. So if Kyle wants to go picking at the carcasses of dead quarterbacks from an era past, have at it. But everyone's going to look at you like, what on earth are you doing? You're getting rid of a 24-year-old quarterback who is unquestionably better than all 3 of those guys right now, who in theory should only get better. You're going to trade a 24-year-old quarterback who, worst case scenario, he's 27 by the time we have to, we can build this thing back up again because we got to eat a year or 2 here. You're going to trade that for somebody who is not just on the downslope of their career, but the bell curve has leveled out. You're just on the flat line at the end of it here. And pretend like that's going to fix it. I get it. They made a mistake. I'll take an L too. I was adamantly against getting Tom Brady. That was wrong. It was incorrect. They got burned. Okay. They also got burned by going the other direction and getting Trey Lance. I was wrong on that one too. I'm promising you right now, if Kyle Shanahan does that, he is self-sabotaging. That he should just quit. This isn't college. There's no buy. You can just quit. Just retire for a year, go to Cabo, and then come back and take over whatever job you want. And the Niners get, a third round or second round draft pick out of it when it's all said and done, Sean Payton style. Just retire. Because if you want Matt Stafford or Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins, who looks like he is throwing ethos pitches, it is unbelievable how little zip he has on the ball. Two of those guys coming off Achilles injuries. Stafford coming off of what God only knows how many injuries. Picking any of those guys over Brock Purdy is certifiable. It is absolutely certifiable. And by the way, those guys ain't cheap either. I know that maybe you can get a little bit of a discount on a Cousins. You're also getting a discount on the miles per hour of the ball coming out of his hands. It's half off all year long. Aaron Rodgers, just standing there, just not on this planet. He's not with us. Okay. I'm not, knocking the guy for being a free thinker or whatever. I'll do that on the side in my private life. But watch him play and say, this guy knows what's happening these days. Watch him play and say,
all these guys stink at this point for the most part.
Washed.
Stafford's washed.
The only one
Rodgers
that you can make an argument
really
for.
washed.
You could make an argument for Stafford, and then every game I watch Stafford, and it's like they're holding him out there against his will.
Yeah. No, I'd be very frustrated if they got rid of Purdy to go in this direction. This guy right here. _187_. Larry, act like he can't ask the team. Ask the team what? What question? The question that I just asked Dieter? I should ask the team. I should ask.
Larry, every article that comes up, you need to go to Brock in his locker and say, Mike Silver of The Athletic recently suggested that Kyle. 187 doesn't have a lot of adult conversations.
Are you suggesting that I don't ask tough questions? I think I probably ask the toughest questions, to be completely honest. And if you don't believe me, I don't know. You sometimes ask tough questions, but I would say that I don't pull a lot of punches.
I come in hot.
This is the question I asked today.
Let me interview him anymore.
To me, this was the hardest question of the day, and you tell me if it is or isn't. But here it is, and I pulled no punches with this one. This is me talking to Nick Sorensen today about his horrendous red zone defense, which is statistically giving up 100% in the red zone the last 2 weeks. There is no worse. You can't do worse. It is a bend
and break defense. It's fantastic.
You can't do worse than 100% touchdown ratio against. Here is
it like
the question.
Slugging percentage where it gets to like 1,000 or how's that?
I don't know. Here it is. Here's my question. Here's his answer.
The red zone is just, 9 for 9 the last 2 weeks. 100%. It can't get worse. It's a crisis situation. What is there a solution? Is there an answer?
We're looking at everything. There's, whatever it needs to be done, we're trying. We got to same thing. Same as the run. Same as not taking the ball away. Same as third down. These situational parts of our defense have to get better. It doesn't matter who's in there. We got to coach it better. We got to execute better. So look at every aspect of it, evaluate everything, looking at ourselves even more throughout what we've done. Is there things we need to change? Do we just need to tighten up what we're doing? So we're just evaluating. And then it's also your opponent. Does that apply to who you're playing? So it's not good. It's not good enough. We have to get it better.
The red zone is just.
There was Marvin Bernard was having a rough year with the Giants years ago, and Ralph and Tom had him in studio, and he started going down this road. And as soon as he started going down the road, I'm like, this is not going to go well. Why? Because he started saying, am I a leadoff hitter? No. Then he's like, am I a 2 hitter? no. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe Marvin is going down this line because you're going to go through the whole goddamn lineup. Am I a 3-hitter? No. Am I a 4-hitter? No. He's like playing this game, and I'm just sitting there in the green room at KMBR just going, oh my God. This guy did not think about where this was going before he started saying this. And so now he's like down at the 6 hole. Am I a 6-hitter? And you hear Ralph go, well, and he's like, no. Am I a 7? And I'm like, oh my God, this is painful. All right.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like the same thing right there with Sorensen. It's like, yeah, we're not good in the red zone, and we're not good on third down, and we're not good at stopping the run, and we're not good at taking the ball away, and we're not.
It sounds like listening to me.
It's like, dude, are you trying to speak your own dismissal into existence?
Right.
I mean,
right. We'll play this clip that you're
bad in the red zone. My horrible defense is bad in 5 other areas, and let me name them. It's like, should you have named them? Maybe, it's like, I don't know what the heck he was thinking with that answer. And
every week it's like that though.
Yeah. I don't dislike Sorensen, but this was the team that needed an experience. Kyle Shanahan needs a star defensive coordinator. He needs a defensive coordinator that he doesn't ever have to walk into a defensive meeting room. He doesn't ever have to be on the defensive headsets. He needs like a Wade Phillips or a Pete Carroll or a Bill Belichick or a Spags. He needs somebody that's like so established, in their field as a defensive coach that you wouldn't even think to even suggest things. Instead, he's got a first-year defensive coordinator and another guy who's a failed defensive coordinator, and there's no other way to say it because look how good the Chargers are without Brandon Staley, and they gave up 63 points to the Raiders last year with Brandon Staley. So they have a failed defensive coordinator sitting behind a first-year defensive coordinator who doesn't seem like he's got a lot of the answers. And I feel terrible for Sorensen. Why? Because Sorensen is not the problem. The problem are the guys who picked the players.
Yes.
The guys who said, you know what? We're not going to have Greenlaw, but let's get Devondre Campbell. We're not going to have Azeez Al-Shaair. We'll fill in with Jalen Graham. We're not going to have any free safety on the team this year. We're not going to have a good defensive tackle. We're going to let Armstead go and replace him with guys who are just a shadow of Armstead. I mean, It's like the real reason this defense is not good is because the personnel has slid. So we can sit there and ask tough questions to Sorensen and laugh that he doesn't have the answer. And but the answers are he doesn't have the horses. And it's like he literally, to answer our questions accurately and correctly, would have to start a fight internally with John Lynch because the only answer that he could give us is, I don't have the horses. I don't have.
We're looking for.
And
I
was listening to Tim Ryan today, and he's like, you got to have the horses. Or I was listening to Baldy yesterday, and Baldy's like, yeah, Sorensen's not impressing me, but you got to have the horses. In other words, they don't have the fucking horses. So it's really more of a personnel thing than it is a Sorensen or a Staley thing, in my opinion.
I agree. It's not his fault, but what's he doing to make the situation better?
Right.
All I hear are tautologies and this empty rhetoric. Oh, it's got to get better. It's got to get better. You were going into what the Niners really need.
It's on, it's our fault.
Yeah, it's just he's really good at that. It's just HR, PR, nonsense speak. There's no fire. And you know what? I don't think he's any different in meeting rooms. Just, hey, we'll figure it out. Where's the fire? Where's the brimstone? You said it. Warner basically was like, we don't have the answers. We don't have the answers. We don't have the answers, and we don't know what we're doing out there. And it's like, I'll say this. I got fooled. I at least thought he was organized. I get the impression now, talking to some folks, that he's not. That the guys on the field don't know what's happening. or don't know what to do. And they're simplifying things more and more. They basically only do cover 3, cover 4. They blitz less than any team in the NFL not named Jacksonville. That's even going down. They never blitz from motion. They'll just throw it in the A-gap. The word that you're looking for when you're looking for the next coordinator of the 49ers, and this is not an easy thing to find for Kyle Shanahan, you're looking for someone he respects, because the only way he's going to stay out of it, and you're right, that's the only way this works, whereas Kyle stays out of it, because Kyle, by injecting Sorensen, someone who would just do his work, just do what Kyle wants him to do, right? Kyle wants to run an offense that can beat a cover 3. He wants to run a defense that plays cover 3. 4 down, zone behind, crash on runs, blanket the field on passing plays. That's what he wants to run on defense. That's what he wants his team to do. That is deep-seated, going back to when he was an assistant in Tampa, an intern in Tampa under Monty Kiffin. Built an offense to beat a cover 3, run a defense that is a cover 3. He puts in Sorensen because Sorensen say, yeah, I can do that for you. Because Sorensen's not getting these interviews anywhere else. He's not getting this job with any other team. He's just the guy who's there when they get rid of Wilkes, because Kyle hired Wilkes thinking, hey, this guy's got he's been everywhere. He's a great secondaries coach. I'm going to bring him in. I can trust, he's an old head. I can bring him in, trust this guy to do it. And he found out pretty quickly the Emperor didn't have any clothes. And within a couple of weeks, he's like, I got to fucking do everything for this guy. I have to go to these meetings. He got pissed off. And he got fired at the end of the year, even though the team was plays away from winning the Super Bowl, because they were playing a guy they got off a Disney cruise at starting nickel in the flipping Super Bowl.
As a rule of thumb going forward, never sign anybody on a cruise.
It was so bad. I knew.
I think it's a good rule. Nobody should ever be signed off a cruise.
I think Logan Ryan actually had a decent enough campaign, but I saw Logan Ryan the Friday before the Super Bowl, and I go, hey, it's America's favorite nickel cornerback. And he looked at me, and we went to the side, and he goes, I don't know what are we doing here? That guy was going to start a Super Bowl.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
No. It was like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. And I go, you know about that. And he goes, yeah. But like, I don't know, man. And I'm like, oh boy. Then I got on a plane.
Great. I wish he had told, they could have made him inactive. Yeah, he was a nightmare.
I don't know, man. Because it was a terrible flipping idea. And
he was awful against the run in the playoffs and the lead up to the Super Bowl.
That's fair. But like, I don't know, play Diamador Lenore, just a thought, at the position he's great at. But with Wilkes, the Emperor had no clothes. So what's he do? He just goes the opposite direction. Just somebody who will just do what I say, set and forget. But that's not how it works. You need to have someone you respect. And Kyle, will his ego allow him to have somebody in the building that will tell him to fuck off? I'm not sure it will, because Robert Saleh was always subservient, right? And don't forget that Robert Saleh had some pretty lean years. People were calling for his head very early on in the tenure. DeMeco Ryans inherited a great defense, did a very nice job with them, don't get me wrong. But like, DeMeco Ryans inherited a great situation, a situation that got Robert Saleh a head coaching job. And then Steve Wilkes inherited a not so, lesser situation, but still a good enough one. But Kyle brings someone from the outside and goes, oh, I don't like this. Steve Wilkes has opinions and things that I don't want to hear. And I don't trust him because he's not a sycophant to me and all of these things. And I'm not saying Steve Wilkes did a good job, but there was some political undercurrent here that didn't sit well with Kyle, because Steve Wilkes would tell him to go fuck himself if he thought that there was a differentiation on defense. And now Kyle's, I know this, I know that. So then he brings in someone who will never talk back to him and just goes up there and gives these platitudes towards, we got to be better. We got to be no shit.
And he loves him. Kyle's like, yeah, I think Sorensen's doing a hell of a job.
Not the love? He's
Sorensen's like, hey, Campbell's doing a hell of a job.
He's a golden retriever of a man.
Everybody's doing a hell of a job. I mean, yeah. Sorensen's doing a hell of a job. Staley's doing a hell of a job. Campbell's doing a hell of a job. I mean, it's like, it's amazing. It's amazing their defense is struggling because they're all doing a great job.
They're doing
kind of like the Giants beat writers said about the Giants' pursuit of Shohei. There's nothing the Giants could have done better than what they did.
No.
I mean, my God. Just turn in your fucking, your credential. Just admit, you're under where your name says your name. Cross out your name and have it. I'm here for a fucking free hot dog. Thank you. And here's the rag I work for. No, that's unbelievable. Okay, a couple more before we get out of here. Brian Griese, according to Chase Sr., is a top candidate for Michigan's offensive coordinator position. Now, to me, that's an eye-opener. Now, other people might say, well, hey, Griese's a longtime Michigan, he was a Michigan quarterback. He played in the league. Kyle's the OC here. If he wants to be a head coach, maybe he needs to be an OC, so he's going to college. But, I mean, I don't know. It's like, or maybe somebody told, maybe Griese knows that something that we don't know. Maybe Griese knows that there's going to be a lot of change on this staff. Maybe Griese knows that maybe the return of this staff is not guaranteed. Otherwise, why is Brian Griese leaving the 49ers and Brock Purdy's quarterback coach to go be an offensive coordinator for Sharon Moore in Ann Arbor? Really? That seems really, really odd to me. That makes me wonder if Griese knows something about Kyle's future or the Niners' future that he doesn't want to be a part of, or he knows is coming to an end and he's bailing off. Usually it's a pretty good indicator when, when coaches that aren't going to be fired, coaches that, that for no reason would be fired, start looking around for other jobs. Sometimes that means that there's whispers that there could be turnover and they don't want to be caught without a job. What's your read on the Brian Griese rumor that he could be leaving the Niners quarterback coaching job for Michigan's OC?
It's going to cost them, but Michigan has Michigan just paid eight figures for a quarterback. So I don't think money is an issue for the Michigan men. I get no impression that Griese is willing to put up with 18-year-olds. It seems as if he doesn't want to put up with adults. So that seems like a big ask. There's also.
But do you look at it as a read, like maybe this is coming to an end for Kyle and the staff?
No. If he went to Michigan, he's a great Michigan quarterback. That's why he is a quarterback's coach, somebody who, in theory, could be available because he's not calling plays or what. He doesn't have like the plumbest of gigs. And hey, you get to call plays for my alma mater. That makes sense. He's absolutely on the list. Put Byron Leftwich on the list. Put Dan Mullen on the list. Garrett Riley on the list. There's a lot of really qualified people. I'm sure that they'll make a call. North Carolina, for their head coaching jobs, calling up Bill Belichick. They called up Arthur Smith. Why wouldn't you do your due diligence? If you think you have the money, the difference in money between the college game and the pro game is actually less than it's ever been. It's not a step down because there's just so much cash being flooded into it. And there's a level of professionalism, perhaps, with the NIL aspect of things and soon to be revenue sharing that maybe makes it more attractive. But I don't see it as a read. It will be interesting to hear rationale should it come to pass. But Michigan looking at Brian Griese doesn't tell me anything. Brian Griese looking at Michigan, now there's something, right? If there's mutual interest, there's something there. And it might be as simple as, I love my Missouri Tigers. Someone wants me to, pay me the same amount of money or even a little less to go cover Mizzou or be around Mizzou. That's a pretty hard thing to turn down. Right? Even if you figure it's lateral, that might be a bucket list thing you want to do. What's Brian Griese's affiliation to the San Francisco 49ers? He played for Kyle's dad. Where's the love there? Oh, I get to coach Brock Purdy and who knows, maybe Drew Aller. or I get to go back to Michigan. I got this, 8-figure quarterback that we just got, this Underwood kid. Maybe that's something he wants to do. Maybe he just wants to be in Ann Arbor. Pretty great place to live, I hear. Until I hear that the admiration is reciprocal, I'll just lay it off as, of course, I'd be interested in Brian Griese. And Michigan shouldn't have any limitations on who they're targeting right now.
Niners running back position looks like it's going to be Isaac Guerendo. Seems like a lot of people are picking up Guerendo in their fantasy leagues. It also could be Patrick Taylor. Guerendo's pretty raw. I don't know if he'd be a safe fantasy pickup. I also really love this kid, Izzy Abanaconda. But first, let's hear from Kyle. Here's Kyle on Guerendo.
What kind of growth have you seen from Isaac Guerendo this year, and what's kind of his state of readiness for an expanded role?
I think he's ready to go. I mean, we were excited about, he got off to a late start with injuries in preseason. I thought he finished in those games well, especially that kick return, he had versus the Raiders, I think. Did some decent things when he started out, didn't get a lot of carries, had some ups and downs, but got better through everything. And then when he got the bulk of the carries, I want to say some more versus Seattle, he only got better, and he's got better throughout the year. So I think he's ready for this.
Specific things that you've seen from him? Is it just maybe getting the reps or getting the snaps?
I think just the urgency of running the ball in the NFL. I mean, I think it takes guys some time. You start to get a feel for it. The more, if you got the right stuff, the more you get reps, the more you can adjust to it, how hard you got to hit stuff, how quick those holes close, how when there is a hole, how you have to hit at full speed and can't hesitate at all, or it closes like that. So we've seen that stuff get better in practice, and we've seen it carry over to games.
His background includes in high school as being a wide receiver. Does he have hands, the good receiving skills that you've seen?
Yeah, he can catch it.
What do you think? Is it the Guerendo show this weekend, or is it Patrick Taylor and Guerendo, or is it Izzy Abanaconda and Patrick Taylor and Guerendo? Is it a three-headed monster? What do you think?
I don't share your optimism on Izzy. He looks like a jag to me.
Really? Guy ran 4.26.
Yeah, well, it doesn't show on the film, and that's cool. But I watch him, and he doesn't look like he's got the vision or the speed. He's running a very similar scheme with the Jets, and they just waved his ass, and they need a running back. Listen, I put in more time on that guy this week than I thought. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, and I guess reciprocation. I don't know.
We'll let people, as you're discussing it, we'll let people see it.
Oh, cool. Let's watch his pit tape.
Well, this is the last time he played. I mean, this is the last time he played. He played in college.
Preseason film exists there.
But I mean, he only got 5 carries in the preseason. I mean, he didn't really get. But you're talking about the guy who runs 4.26 and 4.33, who had 20.
Where's the
20 touchdowns? What's that?
I liked him enough coming out.
Did you see the angle? He just ran right by number 0. I don't know. I mean,
number 0 pushed him out of bounds.
This guy had 20 touchdowns though in one season. I don't know. I like him. I liked him a lot before the draft, and I put together this video on him. We'll see. I mean, obviously, to me, he was the best running back available, and I think he's more of a natural runner than Taylor or Guerendo. So we'll see we'll see what it looks like. But there's Izzy. What do you think for Guerendo? Are you a believer in Guerendo? I mean, he fumbles. Yeah. He doesn't read blocks. He doesn't have any real feel for the position. It's kind of a feel position.
Larry, weren't you on this very same stream a week ago pounding the table that they need more Guerendo in their life?
No, I know want it was Mason more Guerendo. Too. I want more Guerendo. I need 5 to 6 touches. You can't ignore him, especially when you have no big playability. I think the Niners have to put him on the field as a wide receiver and use him to run off the coverage to create space in the passing game. To me, when you have a guy who's this fast, to not utilize him is criminal. Now, at the same time, he has no feel. So, like, he fumbled again, and he runs up the back of his receivers or his linemen.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I know, Larry.
He doesn't have a lot of feel, but he's definitely fast, and he's definitely big. I would definitely put him on the field if I were the Niners in the situation they're in right now. I absolutely would.
You give him double-digit touches, he has huge games. 10 carries, 99 yards against Seattle. Yeah, sure, 76 of those were on 1 carry. That's how it goes, right? Might be 4 times running into the ass of his guard, but he's going to break one. It's going to be big. He gets 14 carries against Dallas, 85 yards and a tutty, 19 long. He also had 3 catches, 17 yards. You ride him. Now, here's my question, and I think they'll do this again. They made him a between the 20s running back, which I can't remember the last time I saw that. And they put Patrick Taylor in the game in the red zone and in their own red zone, they're inside the 20, because I guess that, they just don't trust him for, I suppose, all the reasons you just laid out. But Patrick Taylor became the red zone running back because, well, at least he'll hold on to the ball. So I don't want to see that. I'm kind of over that. I want to see Isaac Guerendo full steam. I want to see the full experience. And if it fails, what have we lost? Nothing but some time on a Sunday that was already shot to shit to begin with. So, we're watching the Bears and the 49ers here in week 14, and the 49ers are 5-7, and the Bears just fired their head coach. Yeah, let me get some Isaac Guerendo. Let me get as much Isaac Guerendo as you got, because maybe he can make a day out of it,
We'll see. Give me some Guerendo, give me some Abanaconda, give me some Patrick Taylor. Run the ball. I mean, my goodness.
See no reason.
I think you got a better run blocking line than you have a pass blocking line. Run the ball.
That's
Run
for
the
sure.
ball. Kyle Shanahan was on KMBR today, and he had.
I'm not even allowed to listen anymore. It's funny.
Really? You're not allowed to
No,
listen?
I'm just being an asshole.
Kyle was asked about Aziz. Let me see if I can find this here.
Oh, wow.
What did you think of Aziz, the hit that Aziz had the other day? I mean, it was obviously a big time hit on a sliding quarterback, but I mean, it's just so people were just so over the top in their criticism of Aziz Al-Shair. He's a great guy. He saved his family from a grease fire in the kitchen, adopted all of his siblings, when they were from a broken home, and took care of them. He's just like one of the great people that I've met in this game. And, to me, it's just like people were over the top, like wanting to kill this guy. It's just like, hey, come on, man. He's a linebacker, and he hit a guy when he was on the ground, but it was the amount of force that came from the hit was shocking. I mean, really shocking when you looked at, he didn't really launch himself. He just happened to click him perfectly.
As Aziz so often does. He's a great linebacker.
Yeah, he's also a great hitter.
I enjoy the cognitive dissonance that people willingly display, as if, what sport did you think we were watching here? Did you think we were playing regular polo? Like, what were we playing? Was this a croquet tournament? These are grown men out there looking to kill each other. What did you think? Oh, an egregious hit outside. No place for that. What are you talking about? This is the perfect place for that. Was it a foul? Absolutely. Should he be suspended? I don't know. But the over-the-top rhetoric.
You got 3 games.
Because of, some PR backlash bullshit. Like, what are we doing here? 10 years ago, we used to have a segment on ESPN that people would tape, TiVo, called Jacked Up. And we would celebrate these hits that would always end with someone in the fencing position, and we'd be like, you got jacked up. And that was a highlight of the week in the NFL. They used to make compilation tapes, physical tapes of all the biggest hits. Again, I'm not defending his hit. I'm just saying sometimes shit like this happens when you're playing professional football. This isn't two-hand touch. This isn't tiddlywinks. Cool it with the rhetoric. Sometimes stuff happens. A guy, he went over, it was a bad hit. He deserves he deserves repercussions for a bad hit. Okay? The rhetoric is laughable. You don't get to have it both ways. You don't get to both enjoy the extreme physical nature of football and then also say, well, that one's over the line. That one's a little bit over. He clicked him just right. Therefore, there's no possible place for that in the game. You can't have it both ways. And everyone who's doing, what really frustrates me about this, okay, people who have never been on an NFL field, and I'm not saying even like on the field as a player, which certainly I was not. I'm saying on the sidelines during a game, an NFL game, you understand the speed and power of the game. It is frightening. You should have a heart rate monitor on and watch it just go up being in proximity to it. It's like 100 car wrecks in a row. Okay. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, and it's frightening to be around it. Frightening. And we are now luckily conditioned, even at a practice where they're going half speed, to not feel that anxiety being around it. People who have never been in that level of proximity, to judge Azeez Al-Shaair for that hit, which doesn't appear to me to have direct intent or malice, to pretend as if that's not just bad circumstance by someone doing their job is abhorrent. And so what really ticks me off isn't the fans who don't know how fast and dangerous and minute the margins are on that field, but it's the guys who have been on the field who, as to appease a bunch of people who don't know any better, go on these Overton window shifting hyperbolic rants about how we got to get rid of this. These people don't care about safety in the game or health or anything like that. The violence is merely a vessel for them to get attention. And it's laughable. It's just laughable to me. You can't have it both ways. You either want the violent sport, which we all do. You got to admit it. We all love the violence of the sport. And sometimes shit's going to go wrong when you have a violent sport. And you can't pretend as if that is not a automatic and indisputable and unnegotiable byproduct of the sport that's being played. You have to live in that reality. So the cognitive dissonance between the two of it, get bent. That's my thought.
I think Azeez is a hell of a guy. He made a mistake. 3 games is excessive. That's excessive.
It's laughable.
All right, 3 last ones, and then we'll get out of here. Bears, Niners on Sunday. Are the Niners going to win this game?
I think so, yeah.
You do? Because the Bears are playing better than the Niners the last 3 games. They're playing better.
That's a fair assessment.
They're playing better than the Niners. They look better.
Well,
if you want common opponent, Bears, if you took Green Bay as the common opponent, you're saying that the Bears almost beat Green Bay. The Niners got housed by Green Bay. I still like the Niners.
I get the sense Caleb's a mess. You and I have predicted that from way back. He doesn't have the fundamentals.
He hasn't turned it over a lot. I mean, I will say that.
What? I like him. I'd be willing to see more of it. Like, I'm not saying write him off entirely, but like, it's really clear that he doesn't have the foundational piece of being an NFL quarterback. Like, what's beautiful about Brock or any of the other really good quarterbacks in this league is that they can just run the offense, right? Even Tua, $55 million a year Tua, right? What's the offense? Get the ball out of your goddamn hands. Get it to your playmakers. Just go. Good timing with your drop back, good fast release, go. You have these foundational pieces down. The fundamentals are down. And then what makes a good quarterback who has that done great is their ability to improvise and make throws that Caleb Williams legitimately makes, or Purdy has made a bunch of jump throws this year, which have been really impressive. But Caleb, I mean, that arm talent, the accuracy on the run, in the air, it's really impressive stuff. That doesn't matter if you don't have the foundation there. That has to be ancillary, auxiliary, a bonus to the basics. And the basics aren't there, and no one's taught him the basics in Chicago. And he never needed to learn the basics because he's got Lincoln Riley as his head coach at USC. And I don't know, but Lincoln Riley's kind of a hot mess of a coach. I just don't respect Lincoln Riley as somebody who's putting NFL talent out on the field week in, week out, or preparing guys to play in the NFL. The tape that I was watching for them last year was, I wanted to pull my hair out. In fact, I think I pulled some of my hair out and it hasn't grown back yet. So that's going to be an issue for Chicago. And I think that their defense is not as strong. And you see this particularly in their red zone run defense, not as strong as some of the playmakers they have would give you the indication of. So I just think the Niners need to be buttoned up and simple. It's the same shit I've been saying a lot. You got Garendo back there. You can't do the whole McCaffrey ball game. Pare it down. Go back to that Seattle Thursday night game. Play action from under center. the basics, win with fundamentals, win with, boot right to Kittle on a wide choice, win with Garendo on a stretch run. And if it doesn't work, don't go away from it. Win with rushing 4, dropping 7, take your chances against a quarterback who will escape pressure that's not there and then try to make throws that only he can make to varying effects. Play the game that way, and you might lose because that kid is more talented than anybody else on the field, but you're probably going to win because it's the Chicago Bears, and if they know how to do one thing, Larry, it's lose football games.
And they do it very consistently.
They're unbelievably good at it.
Though, the Niners and the Bears have kind of had similar years. Both teams were thought to be good at the beginning of the year, and the Niners have not been good, haven't won really any impressive games, and the Bears have gagged all over themselves for the most part down the stretch. All right, two last thoughts before we get out of here. One, I got to show this one. There's the NFL Network has their predictions, and they have 6 of the 10 predictors picked the Bears to beat the Niners.
Okay.
20-18, 26-20, 2020, 25-22, 2017, 24-23, 23-20. All close games, but all going to the Bears. 6 of the 10 going with the Bears. Okay, cool. So one, sometimes you stumble on something on the internet, and it's so goddamn good that you want to share it and show it to somebody. Do you know the Steve Largent Harden story? Mike Harden, how Mike Harden blew him up and then Largent got him back. Did you ever hear about this story?
No.
Okay.
Steve Largent, former Seahawks wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm going to share the screen. This thing is awesome. Sometimes you stumble into something, and I've got 2 last questions for you. But this is an incredible video. Look, we're going to play this, and then we'll comment. This is an amazing video. This might be the greatest payback I've ever seen in pro sports. Truly spectacular payback here by Largent. Watch this video and then we'll talk about it.
It was a 12-yard post route.
How awesome is that, dude?
That's incredible.
How awesome. And Steve Largent, for you kids in the back, one of the best best wide receivers in the history of the NFL.
Totally wasted career in Seattle.
Did you know about that?
I didn't.
I didn't either. But that is awesome.
Yeah, I've been known to watch a lot of NFL films. This goes way back, probably 15 years now. Like, if it's 11 o'clock at night and I haven't put on anything yet, we're busting out some NFL films. And I try to find the oldest and the weirdest. ESPN Classic was my jam. I used to TiVo all the NFL film. I love that stuff. I don't think I might have seen that. I was probably pretty inebriated.
My buddy Jim Millay in the chat says, never seen that. Yeah, no, I saw that.
That's magnificent.
That was Blood Moon says, Larry, don't forget your supers before. Believe me, we'll get the supers, but
not a chance.
I had to go with the Steve Largent there for Dieter. All right,
that's incredible. Thanks for showing.
It was incredible. I mean, there are very few things that you see and you're like, man, that's awesome.
NFL films just nails it every time, man. They're so good.
Okay, Warriors won tonight. Kuminga had 30 something. I've been saying that the Warriors are going to win 38 games. And because they're old, and now they've lost 5 in a row. I think they ought to go after this guy. I think they ought to go after Zion Williamson. You can get him for nothing. New Orleans wants to move him. I just talked to his agent the other day. His new agent is Bill Duffy here in Walnut Creek. Bill's like, man, we're gonna get Zion right, and then he's gonna have a whole nother career. And I think what he means by that is look at the muscle mass on this guy. This guy has muscle mass that very few pro football players have, let alone basketball players. And he just needs to lean out. He needs to lose 10, 12 pounds off this upper body. This is way too muscular, way too much weight for a guy running up and down on a hardwood floor. But I think you can get Zion for cheap. I think you could probably get him for like Wiggins, Moses Moody, a first round pick and Pajemski or something like that. I mean, you're going to be able to get him for a reasonable amount. And I do think Duffy's going to get him right. I do think they're going to get him to lose some weight. I do think he's the kind of draw that next to Steph would really put people in the seats at the Chase Center. And I could see it. I could absolutely see the Warriors going after Zion. What do you think, Dieter? I mean, you've got thoughts on all these teams. What do you think of Zion to the Warriors?
He's a 6'5" center who can't shoot and can't defend.
But he can score.
Sure, off the dribble. If he runs the entire offense and it's an ISO,
he's also a 6'6" guy with 40-inch vert who's 285 right now. But it doesn't cost you anything. I mean, don't you think he's a good player?
You just listed off. You said get him for cheap. Oh, you have to give up 2 role players and
Purdy
Andrew Wiggins. I'm not arguing. It's a bet. What you're doing is you're betting on that Zion Williamson will do what Wiggins did, which is actualize for even a glorious moment that he will turn into the best version of himself. How do you play Zion Williamson and Draymond Green together? You can't. Not reasonably. You can't.
Draymond's at the end.
So get Zion Williamson in a couple more years when he's even cheaper.
You don't think they need you don't think they need a power player inside?
He's not. He's an outside player. He does the exact same shit as Kuminga.
He's a power player. He's a rebounder. What I like about him is
he's never put his ass
rebound
in
outside of his area, and he's a scorer inside, and he's dynamic. He's bulky, but he's also got huge vert, so he kind of plays bigger than that. The same way Draymond doesn't play 6'8", this guy doesn't play 6'6". He's more like a 6'10" guy.
But now you're wanting him to lose weight. So now
I want him to lose weight because he's too heavy.
Yeah. So this guy played
too muscle.
Yeah, the idea on Zion is, oh, well, if he just plays a full season, right, because of the injuries, he just plays a full season, he's going to be great. Well, he played 70 games last year. Okay. He shot 57% from the field, never shot any threes. It is, but they're all drive to the basket. He has, I'll pull it up.
That's what they need. They have a bunch of shooters. They're a donut team.
What is Jonathan Kuminga?
I mean, I like Jonathan Kuminga. I'm a Kuminga fan. I like.
Would
Kuminga.
you trade Kuminga for Zion straight up?
No. I'm not trading Kuminga. He's 21. He's 21. He's got a huge 24. Potential.
So
I'm not trading Kuminga. I've already gone down this road many times with all these Warrior people. I'm not trading Kuminga. I'm not.
So why do you need another? Why do you need another player?
You're a donut team. You've got Looney. That's all you got. You got nothing in the middle.
This guy's a 6'5" center who can't shoot and can't defend. You are what you can defend. He can't defend centers.
I know, but here's the thing. I don't give a shit about any of that. I want to see a good show. It's basketball. I want to see a good show.
You want to see
wins. The season's endless. The titles, they've already won titles. I'd almost rather have a good show than another title. Everybody's talking about Steph and a ring and this and that. Steph's going to the Hall of Fame. Steph's got 4 rings. How about this?
I don't think anybody thought that Steph was
worry about
this year.
Let's not worry about rings. Let's just worry about how
you got to get
entertaining basketball.
That's what it sounds like to me. You got to get off Twitter. Those people are bad for your brain.
I like entertaining ball. I don't care that much about winning. Basketball to me is about the show. It's a show. They dim the lights and let's have a show. I don't want to watch I don't want to watch fucking slow-mo. Okay? I ain't paying $1,000 to sit courtside to watch slow-mo. But guess what? I'll pay $1,000 to sit courtside to watch Zion. And others will
until you actually see Zion. You'll pay $1,000 to see Zion when he comes to town.
I like him. I've bought tickets the last couple of years when Zion's come to town, and to me, he's not perfect, but you need a power player. Why not him,
Larry?
You're not going to be able to get another one.
The Pelicans are hosting. The Pelicans are hosting the Thunder on Saturday. Tickets are $2. So, what a show at the Smoothie King Center. You can get in for the cost of a Diet Coke.
Yeah, but come on. It's New Orleans. It's a regressed economy. Come on. It's a regressed economy. But either way.
A regressed economy that's based on tourism, which is booming.
Who's more like you're more people? Zion Williamson will put butts in the seats. He will
for a year.
Yeah, but I mean,
and then
you got a better idea.
And then people.
You got to. I mean, I'm you know, this ain't Sports Phone 680. You don't just get to crap on my idea. You got to have one of your own. You can't just be like bad idea. You got a better idea? Go for it.
Yeah,
I haven't heard any better ideas.
Than getting Zion Williamson,
Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's going to cost you Kuminga and a lot more, and is volatile as hell, and is 35.
Let me be very clear about this. I don't care
about drive your
Kuminga.
Franchise off the cliff. That's what you're doing.
I'm sorry, the New Orleans Pelicans haven't been driven off a cliff by Zion Williamson, who hasn't shown up, and then last year played 70 games and averaged 22 points a game. Like, who's about to trade their third
22 points a game? Is that bad? You make it sound like 22 is not good. 22 points a game.
When you have a usage rate where you're the ball handler and the scorer every time, 22 is not good enough.
How many games they won last year?
Like 40. They weren't very good. I mean, they might have won more, but they, hold on.
Go ahead. You got a better idea. You got a better idea. Go for it. I'd like to.
I think they should have traded for Lauri Markkanen this past offseason. I think that they won 49 games left.
But Ainge wanted everybody. I don't want to trade everybody. I don't want to empty. I don't want to empty the clip. I want to get more entertaining, and I want to get a little bit bigger as a team, and I want to be exciting. I want to be dynamic. I want a team where it's like tonight. You know what? How many people watch Warriors Rockets? Not as many, I guarantee you, as watched Lions Packers. But if Zion had been a Warrior, more people would have watched Warriors than watched him tonight.
In the Bay,
it's a draw.
Probably,
he's a draw. Whatever. You got an idea. You want Markkanen.
I wanted Markkanen. Go get. I got an idea for you. I'm not playing
Kuminga, TJD, and picks. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. I don't want to empty the clip for Markkanen. I don't. If you trade that much for Markkanen, you're not
Zion. You think that the New Orleans Pelicans, who have now traded Chris Paul and Anthony Davis, are going to just take what for Zion Williamson?
I thought that he would be worth a lot. But then I've read 4 or 5 articles in the last 10 days, and they say that he could be had for one number one and another player.
I mean, yeah, I do
lots of picks, one number one.
So, I do that.
I don't know.
That's fine by me.
That's who I want. I want Markkanen.
You know who they should get, Larry? If we're going to stay in the realm of reality, go get Dante DiVincenzo back. Knew how to play next to Steph. Good team guy. Can shoot the three.
He was a guard.
He is a guard.
Well, why the fuck do you want him then? You got a ton of guards.
Because I don't need it. What do you need a center for? You got Looney.
But that's the only center you have. I mean, you've got Looney and Trace Jackson Davis. The Warriors are a small team. Davis. I do too, but they're a small basketball team. They don't have a 7-footer. They don't have a power player. They don't have a big man. They've got Looney, who's kind of
Okay. You want a big man? Go get Jacob Podol out of Toronto. Jacob Podol can play the high post.
No. Oh, I can't stand him.
What do you just think that 7-footers who can shoot the three and run the court? And
I don't want these effective, boring players. God, it's like, dude, you know how much it costs? You know how much I'm charging to go to these games? I'm not paying Joe Lacob kind of prices for Jakob Poeltl. I mean,
I'm telling you right now. You know what's really boring? Zion Williamson running the same fucking play every single time to about a 50% success rate.
Dude, I'll take Zion Williamson every night over Jakob Poeltl.
Jakob Poeltl can play team basketball.
Who should the
Zion
Giants
Williamson
sign?
wins on Instagram. I'm sorry.
Who should the Giants sign?
I think the Giants should trade people. Who should they sign? I would not sign Willy Adames. I wouldn't mind a cheap year of Anthony Santander. This is galaxy brain nonsense. But Jordan Romano just got non-tendered by the Blue Jays. He was their closer for the last couple of years. He was really good. He had a bad year, and they non-tendered him. I'd go sign that guy. He's a good bullpen arm. I like Jordan.
What do you need a closer if you don't lead?
No, you just need bullpen arms. You know why? Because we're never going to have a starting pitcher go more than 4 innings again. You need as many good arms as you can get.
What do you think of the rumors that there multiple people saying that they're interested in the pitcher from the Brewers? What's his name?
Freddie Peralta?
No.
Devin Williams?
The guy Corbin Burns.
Corbin Burns. Oh, he was with the Orioles last year. Yeah, I don't like
St. Mary's
paying
College
top of the line starting pitchers. I think it's bad practice. I just don't trust their elbows. Full stop, or shoulders, or anything. I would get reclamation projects. I would build up and then re-sign guys that I built up, but I wouldn't be taking on anyone else's starting pitchers and hope that they come in with a clean bill of goods. That's like buying a used car third hand, like it's just on Facebook Marketplace. You're asking for trouble with that. And all these contracts are guaranteed, and that just sounds like a recipe for failure. There's for every Garrett Cole, there's about 500 players who have never lived up to the contract they got when they finally hit free agency as a starting pitcher. So I'd stay away from it.
Tigers re-signed Wilmer Flores. Huh? Did you see that?
Tigers were on. Goodbye, Wilmer. Good guy.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Is this the same Wilmer Flores? Maybe not.
Oh, there's 2 Wilmer Floreses. No, that's right. He has a
Flores.
brother. He has
It's
a
a
brother
pitcher.
named Wilmer Flores.
There's a pitcher. They re-signed a Wilmer Flores pitcher. Okay, so according to the reports I'm reading on MLB trade rumors, Giants are in the market for a shortstop. They've been tied to Willie Adames and Hassan Kim.
Yeah.
I guess Kim underwent surgery to repair a labrum injury in his throwing shoulder, and there's not a lot of clarity on when he's going to be back.
Yeah.
Scott Boras said he's taking an
like a Giant
optimistic
already.
stance. He said last month at the GM meetings that Kim could be ready early in the season, potentially before the end of April. So Matt Chapman has said he'll play shortstop for the month of April if the Giants get Kim and don't want to put him at shortstop to start the year.
Pretty good.
I think Hassan Kim is coming to the Giants for sure. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And you know what? If the price is right, whatever. I just
They
like
need
I
hitters,
think Willie Adames is a good player, but he's going to get some top market thing because there's a bunch of teams bidding. And it's just what I don't want the Giants to do is this second-rate desperation nonsense anymore. Go and get the guy that you want at a good price. If you're going to overpay for a guy that you really want, like I don't have a problem with Jung-Hoo Lee. They went and paid him, right? But they identified and they went out and got him. Fine.
Paid him too much.
Sure, of course they did. But
$19 million for that. I mean, come on, bro.
At least they weren't getting bid up by some other team or in some weird back and forth. They're terrible at the politics of this.
You think they got a deal on Jung-Hoo Lee?
I don't give a shit what they pay him. What I care about is like the idea. What I don't want is them being like, "Oh, we have to get somebody, so let's go pay this guy or let's go pay this guy." This sense of desperation that permeates through everything. And maybe you can say that Jung-Hoo Lee was a sense of desperation too. It felt like they were convicted on it. They went out and they just did it. And yeah, they overpaid him. Who gives a damn? I'm of the mindset
I give a damn because they don't have enough money to go build up the rest of the team. If money was no object, then I don't care. But money is very much an object. It's a very limited resource for them, and they wasted $19 million. They're paying him the same amount that the Astros pay Yordan Alvarez. I mean, I like him. He's a nice little player. He's got a good defensive mentality, whatever. But come on, I mean, they over fucking paid. All right, let's hit a couple more of these. Rafael Flores says the problem is not the defense, but the offense is simply not playing complementary football. The defense is on the field too much. The offense needs power run plays and pass plays from the shotgun. All right, first of all, Rafael, the Niners lead the NFL in time of possession, or if they don't lead it this week, they're like second. So the offense is playing complementary football. The problem is the defense. the offense is going to get better. The defense is getting worse, and the defense is horrible. The defense doesn't have Lenore on the back end. Mooney's not playing worth a damn. Devondre's not good. They're not getting anything from linebacker. Fred's, at this point worn out. Hargrave's done for the year. Bosa's out. I mean, the problem is the defense. There's no doubt the problem's the defense. The offense is not good either, but the offense, the offense will come around to some degree, but the offense, got old. I mean, it's a bad line, and you don't have your weapons are totally pedestrian. And you took the wrong receiver in the first round. I mean, it's pretty obvious. All the other guys that were taken around him are better. So they're but the problem is their special teams and defense are horrible. That's the real problem.
I'll also add to this. I mean, the idea, they should blitz more. Well, they don't get home when they blitz. So if you need any indication that they don't have good enough players, when you blitz and you should have a man advantage and you still don't get pressure, you don't have good enough players. Full stop.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Pick your poison. Do you want to lose fast or lose slow? I'd rather lose fast.
I'm with you. I'm content with not blitzing because they're a bad blitzing team.
Well, and you've heard that term, slow death. There's nothing worse than slow death. I want quick death.
Fair enough.
I mean, really, and that's what we're talking about. Because you're going down either way. You might as well go down fast and get your offense back out there. Real OBJ. People who say injuries don't matter. If you switch Goff or Hurts with Purdy today, does Goff or Hurts make the 49ers better? Does Purdy make the Eagles or Lions worse? I think that's a great point. I think that's a great point.
I think the Lions would love to have Purdy.
Yeah, I mean, Purdy's better than Goff. Well, there's no question in my mind. Goff throws a great ball, though, and Goff's can throw lasers. Rafael Flores says the D plays well, but they can only do so much.
We're watching a different defense.
Real OBJ says give Purdy that O-line plus Saquon plus Brown. See what happens.
We saw it last year. They had the best offense in the NFL and one of the best offenses of all time.
Nick Falcon says if the Niners lose out and have a top 8 to 10 pick, would they consider taking a quarterback? By the way, I wouldn't take one. No, I don't think so.
Good. Nick, you're in line.
Yeah, I mean,
unlike your namesake team, which did.
I mean, the only thing that would make it interesting is if somehow the Niners did get a top 10 pick and Cam Ward fell to them. A lot of people like
load
Cam
up
Ward
with draft picks. No, then it's the easiest win ever. You extort the team that wants them or the teams that want them, and you load up on additional firsts, which you need. Yeah.
Or you trade Brock Purdy and go with Cam Ward. I mean, it's one or the other, right?
If you get the
Cam Ward reminds me a lot of Lamar. A lot of Lamar. Nick Falcon. And when I say that, what I mean is when Lamar runs, everybody else runs like the defense can hurt them. Not Lamar. Lamar runs like, you want to hit me? Bring it. You know what I mean? And Cam does the exact same thing. He runs, he gets to the sideline, he tiptoes out of bounds, and he almost wants you to hit him out of bounds and draw that penalty. I mean, when he runs with the same kind of pace and poise that Lamar runs with. And it just sends the defense a loud message that I am a badass. Yeah. But I don't know about Cam Ward's arm strength or accuracy down the field. So you may just be getting a slightly more electric version running wise of Brock Purdy. And I don't know that that's worth, going for, but I do like Cam. I'll say this, there's some magic to Cam Ward. There's some magic to him.
I get it.
We got this one from MF. He says Giants in on Corbin Burns, according to Heyman, Morosi, and Feinstein.
I don't doubt that they're in on it. I just don't think it's that good of an idea.
He's durable, though. You don't like I mean, he doesn't have great stuff.
Until he isn't.
I mean, he seems very durable. Jim Molay says maybe Kyle should try Nick Sorensen in the booth. Yeah, exactly. That'd be so classic. If we asked Nick to move up to the booth. Propa says Kyle's starting to look like Madison Bumgarner. Rough season. Yeah. Blood Moon.
He's one dirt bike away.
We cannot lose Kittle. Absolutely fucking not. Okay.
We all agree.
There you go. Blood Moon. Sad to say, bye to Debo, Juice, Banks, Ward, but 85 stays. J Mill, fucking draft better. It's 3 great words right there. Rick Lemke. Larry still wants a parking spot. LOL. I think that was I think that was from another stream. I forget what I was saying. If I do something, do I get a parking spot? Or I forget exactly what I said. I was talking big. As I've been known to do. Moon Man says, "Yo, Larry, Sorensen is Jim O'Neill all over again." Jim O'Neill? Is that the Married with Children guy?
He's a politician in North Carolina.
Okay. Something tells me maybe that's not who he was referring to. Joshua Mars 22. We're just overreacting to an injury year, just like 2020. Okay. Maybe there's some truth in that.
I mean, 2020 still, you needed to address fundamental issues year over year. It's not like they came out in 2021 and kicked ass. They were 3-5.
Right. Blood Moon says going to the Super Bowl dries up the well with other coaches out there to be considered. Coaches snagged up during the playoffs. Kyle Shanahan tried to get Bill or Ulbrich. I would love to get Ulbrich.
He never got Bill.
I would love to know. Supposedly he offered the job to Spags and Bill. I don't know. I'd love to know what the Niners were offering salary-wise, because there is no cap on this. So it's like, do you want the guy? Then offer an amount that he's going to accept. My guess is they probably didn't. Pop says, any chance 49ers reach out to Rex Ryan for the D coordinator? No chance in hell.
I'm sick of people asking, like, Larry, that has shown up once a week for me for the last 4 weeks. Who is feeding this information?
He's just on TV. He's sitting on TV. That's why those guys take those TV gigs, because it puts you top of mind. And that's what the chat is, top of mind.
Is that why I'm top of mind now, where I show up here on these YouTube streams?
Yeah, you're top of mind.
Put me in.
Well, you're top of mind at FS1.
Like
at FS1, years. You were top of mind.
Underscore
187
pay me for 5 years.
They said your name on national cable television 3 times. Larry, ask Kyle how much Purdy is worth tomorrow, please. Yeah. See, this is the kind of question that you
get invited to a lot of dinner parties. You have a lot of friends. You know,
are you asking
how much do you make?
Yeah,
you know your wife's real ugly. What are you going to do about that?
Who'd you vote for?
Yeah,
who'd you vote for? What size suit do you wear?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're looking real fat these days.
What'd your kid get on the SAT? Hey, Bob, what'd your kid get on the SAT?
Yeah.
What'd you pay for that? What'd you pay for that John Deere mower? I mean,
what's that W-2 looking like, Bill?
Yeah. I mean, if I went in there and said, Kyle, excuse me, quick question, Larry Krueger here from KBR. How much is Purdy worth? I would be laughed out of the room. Everybody would look over at me and like, what the fuck's wrong with that guy?
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
sure
I would
Kyle
be
like, you know what? I've been waiting for someone to ask me that question.
He's like, what's he worth? He's worth whatever, whatever the market bears. And, it would lead to nothing, 187.
Correct.
If I would ask the question if I thought it would provide an answer. But, it's like that's part of the difficulty of this thing. It's like what's readily apparent or what's seemingly obvious to some. And then when you get in that room, there's like different standards of questions. It's hard to explain, but that's just take my word for it. Sub says Larry had us losing to the Bears before the season started. I did, but I thought it would be like a loss, like a trap game loss in the midst of lots and lots of winning. That's what I thought.
Come back from Buffalo and
yeah. They'll take the Bears lightly. Instead, this might be the only team on their schedule they can actually fucking beat. Jim Molay says, when do the Giants get into this BS deferred payment game? Oh, Jimmy, what do you mean? They offered Shohei Ohtani the exact same deal the Dodgers did. But isn't it interesting how the Dodgers offered Shohei deferred money and then went and took the opportunity that the deferred money gave them and went and signed Yamamoto and Snell this year, where the Giants went and offered huge amounts of deferred money to Shohei Ohtani. And when he said no, they just scrapped their entire offseason altogether and decided to do nothing. It's like Come on. I mean,
Also,
you
did they
are
even offer the
lying.
deference?
Stop lying to us. Stop fucking. I don't mind if you're cheap, but just don't lie. You weren't going to offer that. And if you were going to offer that, that means that you were going to defer the money to pay for what? The Dodgers deferred that money so they could actually go get more players to win. The Giants would just defer that money just to defer it. They weren't going to spend any more money at all.
It's also a tax thing. Like, it's one of those. It's one of those. By the way, Jim O'Neill was apparently the defensive coordinator for Chip Kelly in 2026 or 2016.
All right.
What a time to be alive. Totally forgot about that.
Max 707, Larry, you prefer sativa, indica, or hybrids? I'm not sure what you're even
How much you worth, Larry? How much you making these days?
Yeah. Let's ask a bunch of questions that nobody will answer. All right, that's going to do it for us.
But I can't do the pod. I can't do it.
Dieter, when
got too
do
good.
you appear next on the leader?
Oh, I'll be on the leader tomorrow at 7. I'll follow you. So how about that?
Tomorrow at 7. All right.
Yeah.
Guy Haberman's stopping by with me tomorrow. What do you got cooking on the on the show
figure
tomorrow
something
night?
out. I'll probably just talk for 2 straight hours and we'll call it a
Giants,
night. It'll be good.
Niners, Warriors, which a little bit of everything.
We're going to have to talk a little Dubs, aren't we? We're going to have to get into the Dubs game, but it will mostly be Niners.
Oh, they'll play tomorrow too, huh? Dubs go tomorrow against the T-Wolves.
Is that so? Jeez.
So maybe
I
you
should
aren't
probably
on.
Pay more attention.
Right? You
Look at
probably
us.
are not on. Or you're on later. I think isn't it a Friday night game? I thought the Warriors play all the Friday nights. I don't think they're off.
Yeah, they play. Yeah, they play tomorrow night at 7 at home. So I guess I'm going until 9:30.
Oh, there you go. Jim Millay says, "When do the okay?" We got into that. I thought that was a new one. Sorry, Jimmy.
Oh, they're going to get smoked
by the T-Wolves.
Yeah, maybe Steph comes back. Warriors 2.5-point favorites, stunningly.
Look at that. Rick Lemke says, "Good show, Dieter. Thank you.
I'm a sage."
There you go. That's going to do it for us. 2 hours and 4 minutes. I said we're going to make this fast, and it goes 2 hours and 4 minutes. That was fast.
Larry, you keep bringing these Zion Williamson takes to the table, and
I know. Seriously,
just got to drag it out.
There you go. For Dieter, I'm Larry. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Betr for sponsoring this video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to all of you. I'm back with you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Damon Bruce will be in the house, 10:45. Chase Sr. will be in the house. Kyle Shanahan speaks at 1:40. Brock Purdy also is going to speak tomorrow. I got Niners Nightly at 6 tomorrow night. And Guy Haberman will be our guest. And then 49er Forecast on Saturday at 10. And Dave Lombardi is going to stop by as a guest on Saturday. And then Saturday morning at 8:30, I'm going to go live in the morning. And John Chapman, I haven't streamed in a long time with John Chapman, but Chapman's going to stop by and we'll chop it up on the Niners and the Bears. So, Dieter, great stuff, man. Always appreciate you. You're a star, dude. You're going FS1. They're talking about you.
Yeah, it's full circle there. I went down. I'm back up. Who knows where I'll be next week? Who knows if I'll even be here on Sunday?
You know what? You can't ask Kyle any questions, but you can be bandied about. Your name, Dieter Kurtenbach on FS1. For Dieter, I'm Larry. Peace. Have a great night, everybody.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful,